Hey everybody, so in this video, I'm going to be documenting my experience dating in Brazil from February through March of the year 2024. Specifically, I'm going to highlight my experiences with 5 amazing girls that I dated this time, and I'm going to cover where and how I met them, what my overall experience was like with each girl, and why things ultimately didn't work out with them even though they were amazing women. Also, be sure you stick around to the end because I'm going to give my overall analysis on my thoughts of dating in Brazil as a whole, as well as give you guys some important tips for navigating this dating market if you want to come to this amazing country. So stay tuned to the end. All right, so the first girl I dated, let's call her, for the purpose of this video, Pamela. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. So this was the only girl that I dated that wasn't from a dating app or Instagram. If you watch this channel, you guys probably know 99% of the women that I meet are from dating apps or Instagram. I believe that's the future. But this girl, I actually met the old-fashioned way through some good old-fashioned cold approach pickup. So I met her at a bar, actually, and she was the hostess. So I was new in town. I was traveling around Brazil in that small city, and I walked into this random bar, just didn't know really what I was doing or where I was going in particular, but I walked in, and then she was the hostess, and she's like, "How many people?" I said, "Oh, just me." And then she kind of tilted her head, like, when you whistle and like a dog kind of like tilts its head. She got that like curious look, and she's like, "You're not from around here, are you?" And then I said in Portuguese something to the effect of like, "Oh, is it that obvious?" And then I sat down, I had a drink alone, and I was making plans for getting her number. So I'm looking around the bar, and it was a situation where everyone's kind of seated and not like standing up, and like a good situation for like some cold approach pickup. So I'm like, okay, I want the hostess. She was by far the hottest girl there anyway. But unfortunately, she kind of disappeared. She was nowhere to be found. So I'm there. I got my drink, and I ended up talking to some random people in the bar. I'm like, "Hey, is there a bar where like people are standing up? It's more like, prone to like meeting people." They're like, "Yeah, go out and turn this way, blah, blah, blah." So I leave the bar. I can't find my cute little hostess girl, and actually turned the wrong way going on the recommendation that the other people met me, and I bumped into her. Like, lucky for me, I went the wrong way and bumped into her, and we started talking again, and then it came out that she spoke some English, and she was just overall like very like wide-eyed, like they call it like the doggy dinner bowl eyes in the old pickup community. She was very interested, so I got her Instagram, set up plans to go on a date, and the date actually went well. And of all the girls I dated during the time, this was my second favorite. However, unfortunately, I made the mistake of telling her about my YouTube channel, and she was extremely judgmental about it, and poof, that was the end of it. As soon as it started, my beautiful brunette, curvaceous brown girl that I really like, she just disappeared on me. Actually, this wasn't a mistake, though, about, telling her about my YouTube and stuff like that, because I'm actually in wifey mode. I've ran through enough 304s that I'm ready for. 304 means a hoe, by the way. That I'm ready for something more long-term, a girl that I could build a future with, etc. And, she wasn't the one for me, but overall, she was absolutely gorgeous. I really wish I could show her face. I can show her body, and, you've been seeing some pictures through editing. I've been adding some pictures on the screen, but stay tuned because some girls actually did give me permission. And it's a shame, really, that it didn't work out because, she was smart, feminine, ambitious, but, too bad she was just too judgmental. And I really did enjoy my date with her. She was from the north of Brazil, which we'll talk about more specifically the north of Brazil in a second. And also the fact that, like I said earlier, she spoke some English made her a really strong candidate. She was also 18 years old, which is good, but it's honestly a bit too young for me. 21 to 24 is now generally my sweet spot, but she was very mature and ambitious for her age. She doesn't drink, doesn't go to bars, etc. But it wasn't meant to be, so oh well, moving forward. The next girl I dated, let's just call her Tabitha for the purposes of this video, not her real name. This one was from social media like the rest of the girls, but in sort of a different way. So this girl, she actually got my Instagram from my Tinder bio, and she followed me. So out of nowhere, I just got a follow from this girl, which doesn't normally happen, but if you set up a really high status social media like mine, this will in fact happen sometimes. By the way, I just made a free guide, a free training on how to set up a social media that's attractive to women, a high status social media. So not only do you get a lot of matches, but you can meet girls directly on Instagram. They'll even find your Instagram and, from your Tinder and stalk you. So just go to my Instagram, RedbeardRants1, and DM me the word high status, just high space status. And I'll send you my free training for how to do that. That's actually the key how I'm meeting all these girls, except for the first one that I met off cold approach. But anyway, back to Tabitha. So she got my Instagram from my Tinder. She followed me, and then I actually messaged her something to the effect of like, hey, just, curious. It's nice to meet you, but how did you find my profile? Oh, and, you're very beautiful, by the way. She said, I got it from Tinder. I said, oh, awesome. I've never had a sexy stalker before, but, not that I'm complaining, haha. She laughed. We chatted a bit more, and this one was a layup. Obviously, if a girl's going to, find your social media and add you. And again, this one was also from the north of Brazil, so stay tuned. I have a lot to say about this coming on later in the video that you don't want to miss, so stay tuned. Anyway, so actually, I'll talk about that a bit now. The north of Brazil, I find that a lot easier for foreigners in general to get success with versus cities like Sao Paulo or Rio, which are full of high-value guys, other foreigners. Any big city like Rio, Sao Paulo of 10 million plus is just going to have too many rich dudes. Even looking out, you guys can't see, but on my balcony now, I can see helicopters taking off. I'm in this area called Itaim. That's a weird name. I know it's the name of a neighborhood in Sao Paulo, but I'm going to get more tips regarding the north of Brazil and my thoughts on that in a second. But back to Tabitha. So we set up plans. Again, she followed me. It was a layup. And we went out and it was cool. But unlike Pamela, I didn't have a very strong mental connection with Tabitha. Now, she was extremely sweet, extremely feminine, extremely carinhosa, which I guess would be affectionate or sweet. I don't really know what the English translation would be, but she was also a really good kisser, really passionate. She had that very typical Brazilian where I don't know, I don't want to weird you guys out on the camera or anything, but just if you ever kissed a Brazilian girl or, Latino women in general, just the way they put their soul into it, the way they kiss. Again, anyone who's, kissed a Brazilian that was passionate about them knows what I'm talking about. So needless to say, we had an extremely strong physical connection. I love, a lot of kissing with a lot of tongue. She was into that as well. Sorry if I'm weirding you guys out. But unfortunately, the mental connection wasn't there. She was just very quiet. She didn't talk very much. And the language barrier was strong, but not because my Portuguese sucks, but because of the way she spoke, right? There's two ways to say everything. I can say yo, do you want to go out and go to a party tonight? Or I can say, yo, dog, you bout shit tonight? Let's turn up the volume. There's two ways. If you mumble and use a lot of slang and just talk in a weird way, and she was just quiet and we're at this loud restaurant. I'm just girl, speak up. I can't hear you, right? So not the best mental connection. She was just kind of quiet and whatever, no English, so there was no potential for her to be long-term. Very strong physical connection, but anyway, let's just move on. The next girl is Monica. So, oh dear, Monica. Monica was a catfish. So as part of my coaching program for students, I have an entire module now dedicated to identifying catfishes because these days with AI filters, photography, getting creative with angles, it's extremely difficult. They can even do filters on a video call now through Instagram, which is just scary. And Monica, she was a pro catfish. I'm going to show some pictures of her on screen. And, oh, by the way, some of the screenshots, I was on a video call with my Portuguese teacher. That's why there's another little face down there that I had to block out. But as you can see, she's super thin and super sexy in the photos. She's got big boobs and a big butt, big legs, but she's clearly got a thin waist in all of the photos. Yet when I showed up, bro, this girl was 30 pounds heavier than what she showed on Instagram. I almost ended it there right when she showed up, but whatever. No more Mr. Nice Guy in the future. I'm just gonna be hey, I don't like liars, but, whatever. It's all good. It happens to the best of us. Oh, and one thing, I don't think I mentioned how I met Monica. She was directly from Instagram. So not even from a dating app, but directly from Instagram. And I'm going to post some shots, some screenshots of what a typical morning looks like for me. So I wake up, I check my Instagram, and you can see I've put the number. These are girls that have followed me back. So the number you're seeing, 7, 8, 5, 6, whatever it says in the screenshots that I'm adding on the editing. My online dating virtual assistant, this is a woman in the Philippines. I pay $5 an hour to. She finds about 20 women on Instagram. And as you can see, every day I have 6 or 7 or 8 new leads that follow me back. And I message those girls because I can land in their inbox. And it only works. Girls only follow you back as a completely random dude if you have a very high status social media. So once again, go to my Instagram, RedbeardRants1, message me the word high status. And I'll show you how to build a high status social media profile so that when you follow 20 girls on Instagram, about 7, aka 1/3 of them will follow you back. So on to the next girl. Let's just call her Emily. She was from a dating app that is only here in Brazil called Inner Circle. Actually, I can't remember if I messaged her on the app or if I got her Instagram from her profile and then contacted her, first contact on Instagram. I think that's how it was, but either it was the app or it was directly on Instagram from getting her profile on the app. Emily is by far the hottest of the 5. I mean, depending on your type, right? But I think you're seeing like a pattern here with the girls I like. They're that Pocahontas, but like a curvier Pocahontas, like brown, big booty, long black hair, Latina, big thighs, big butt. And as you can see here, I mean, Emily just look at this girl, like boobs, ass. Again, I can't really show her face, but absolutely gorgeous. And yes, she does look the same in real life. She was not a catfish. I mean, like total smoke show. Again, if you like skinny white girls, I guess we disagree, but this is my type. Anyway, she was cool because not only was she beautiful, but also very smart, very ambitious. She was studying to be a lawyer. However, the issue with Emily is that she had what I would call American girl energy, in the sense that she was not a highly feminine chick. I mean, she was pretty feminine, but she was not like super cooperative or docile or anything like that. She also displayed some signs of like social justice warrior tendencies, which is a huge turnoff for me, and like another, example, like what I would call American girl energy. So for example, I have this funny video that I made intentionally to be a little bit offensive. It's a little bit of dark humor, and I do this strategically to kind of filter out the wokies. And I'm not going to explain it. It's just a little, funny video I made. I talk about it in my courses and other videos. You guys can find it. But 90% of the girls that I send this kind of funny and slightly like dark humor, slightly offensive video to, 90% react saying like, damn, like that was a burn, like that was a little heavy, but I can't lie, like that was fucking funny, like that was really funny. I liked the video. However, Emily fell into the 10% that didn't like it, which means, very sensitive, easily offended, social justice warrior. And I should have just ended it right there, but I didn't, because she was so beautiful. And then the second red flag is she wouldn't do a video call with me, which if you guys know, I've mentioned before, I now only accept dates from women who do a video call with me prior, because the video call is the first date. I would have seen these kind of masculine, not cooperative, not docile tendencies. But anyway, we went out. She didn't have that soft feminine presence. She was uncooperative throughout the night. And the kicker was when we were at a restaurant and we were sitting like 90 degrees from each other, but she was kind of seated far away. And at a high point, when I had her laughing her ass off, I'm like, hey, you're kind of far away. Why don't you, scoot a little bit closer? She's like, no, I'm good over here. I was like, all right, I'm good on like not having you in my life at all. And the funny thing is, the next day, I actually found out this girl was super into me. So after the date, put her in an Uber, made sure she got home safe. And then the next day she's like, hey, when are we going out again? I liked you so much. And I just told her, hey, listen, rather than ghosting you, I'll just be honest. I didn't feel that, masculine and feminine spark. And, she actually took it like not well. Like she really wanted to see me. She almost, I wouldn't say she begged, but she pleaded like, hey, could we try again? And, this and that. I felt like maybe I was uptight, but, I just told her, hey, listen, I felt like I was on a date with like a business partner. I felt no romantic connection at all. She was pretty shocked. It's probably the first time, like I've been showing in the editing like photos of this girl, right? It's probably the first time in her life that, a guy has ever told her this, right? So in the end, it was a major letdown because she had a lot of the qualities I liked, but just didn't have that docile feminine personality. And we would just bicker and we'd be fighting for who wears the pants in the relationship. It just would not have worked out with her. All right, on to the last girl, the fifth and final girl. Remember, stick around because I'm going to give my overall analysis on how to navigate this Brazilian dating market. I'm going on like 8, 9, 10 months, something like that here. And I have a lot to say about the subject. So stick around a bit longer. We're going to go over the overall analysis of Brazil. But the last one, Kelly, she was my favorite out of the bunch. And similar to Emily, I met Kelly on the Inner Circle dating app. Actually, now I remember. Emily, I got her profile from Inner Circle, her Instagram, and I met Emily, the previous girl, directly on Instagram. But Kelly, we actually did start on the Inner Circle dating app, which I believe is only in Brazil. And what I liked about Kelly is she had the typical traits that we always talk about in the red pill community that we would want in a woman, right? That you want in a long-term relationship. Things like a low body count, a private social media. She didn't post any scandalous photos. She didn't exhibit any signs whatsoever of hoe behavior, like going to clubs, drinking a lot, doing drugs, sugar daddies, anything like that. I didn't have the absolute strongest physical connection with Kelly, I had a decently strong one, of course, but it wasn't like the strongest physical connection or, greatest sex that I've ever had in my life. But she made up for it by the fact that she was super smart. She spoke English, and we overall, we just got along very well, right? Every once in a while you meet, guy, girl, just a person that you just get along, you just understand each other. And I had that with her. And, going back to the intelligence thing, she not only spoke English, but she would be bored at work sometimes. And she actually taught herself some basic Korean and Chinese. She could have a very basic conversation in Chinese and Korean just from watching TikTok videos at work, how to, speak Korean or whatever. She just would watch this. So that intelligence blew me away. And again, I don't know why in the red pill community we don't talk about this. If you're gonna have kids with somebody, I'm a super high IQ person. I want to preserve the super high IQ genetics, and I would only want to have kids with a girl that's super high IQ like me. So if you're asking me, so if Kelly's so great, why did you end things with her? Nothing wrong with her at all. She's an amazing girl. I really have nothing bad to say about her, but just for reasons I don't want to elaborate on publicly, she wasn't the girl for me, but I wish her the best. So, all right, that's the 5 girls that I dated, the 5 amazing women that I dated in Brazil from February to March of 2024. If you guys like this video, I'll do another one. We'll cover, April, May, June, July, everything moving forward. But now it's time for my overall analysis on dating in Brazil, how you guys can navigate this market. So, caveat, this is subject to change, but as I want to report on it now, I'll say something that I've said in a previous video, which as it stands, Brazil is a lot more competitive, at least talking Rio, Sao Paulo, this other city I've been to, where it's a lot more competitive than, say, Mexico, Colombia, Philippines, Thailand, where things can be considerabably easier. Okay. So as you go to a country, like Philippines, Thailand, Colombia, if you're, 5'11" like me, you're at least average height or above, you're going to be way taller than the guys. You're going to make a lot more money than them. However, in Brazil, things are not that way. You have a lot more competition from the local guys. They're taller, better looking. They make a lot of money. I mean, the rent for this apartment, you can't really see it. Trust me, it's a very, very nice apartment. I know you're just kind of seeing the kitchen and, not the most impressive background, but trust me, it's a very nice apartment. I'm paying $2,300 here, so it's not a cheap place to live. Now, even though it's more competitive and more difficult, and you're not just going to walk off a plane and get, bajillion matches on your apps or just start dating the top, 1 to 2% of women super easily like you would in Indonesia or something. The women here are amazing. They're sweet, they're sexy, they're beautiful, they're outgoing, they have fun personalities, they're a lot higher IQ than a lot of the other girls that I dated in other countries. And in contrast to other cities like Medellin, the gold digger and prostitution factor is way, way less here. So a lot more difficult. I would say super flaky, right? You may get a lot of matches. You may go to a bar and, be very interesting to these girls and stuff. And again, I'm speaking more on the big cities like Rio and Sao Paulo. Let me revise my answer in a second here, because I want to know one thing right first. If you're considering, really going all out passport bro to Brazil, moving here, getting a visa here, established residence, something like that, learning the language, Brazil is an extremely good option because it's so dynamic. So remember how I said we're going to talk about the north of Brazil? From what I can tell, and, more research is needed, is that girls from this northern region of Brazil, around the Belém area, are orders of magnitude easier to get a first date with and just overall easier to deal with, lower standards than these girls from other cities. And that's what's so cool about Brazil, is that it is so dynamic in terms of the different looks. And it's 7 or 8 countries in one. Whereas I wouldn't imagine Finland, from one end of Finland to the other end of Finland, or maybe even Ecuador, Peru. I could be wrong about this, but I wouldn't, different cities. I'm sure there's some diversity in Ecuador. I'm sure there's some diversity in Peru, but compared to Brazil, if you just look at a map of South America, Brazil is half the continent of South America. Fun fact, from Colombia downwards, so south of Panama, on the actual continent of South America, there's more Portuguese speakers than Spanish speakers. And, you have the difference in not I don't say ethnicities, but features or ethnic characteristics. So back to the north of Brazil, like I was saying, if you like the north of Brazil, they're actually closer related ethnically to like Colombian and Venezuelan than they would be like, you know, Brazilian, whatever Brazilian even means as an ethnicity, right? Brazilian's so diverse, it's hard to say like what is ethnically Brazilian. But from what you would typically see in Sao Paulo or Rio, the women look like Colombian and Venezuelan up there versus like, you know, Rio, there's a higher, you know, black population and brown. In Sao Paulo, you get a shitload of people that look like they're straight from Portugal and don't look like all that different from me. Then there's the South, and there's like Floripa, you know, Florianopolis, where they have like the blondes. You might think you took a wrong turn and you're back in like Sweden or, you know, Norway or something like that. So if you're trying to maximize your foreigner advantage and you're into that brown look, definitely try the North. If you're into that kind of Barbie doll blonde look, definitely try the South. If you want to get a hodgepodge mix of everything, try Sao Paulo. More educated women in Sao Paulo, more English speaking, but they can err more on like that feminist, like independent woman side. Rio de Janeiro is its own vibe, but, you know, like I keep saying, you know, Brazil is just so dynamic. And for me, it was like a no-brainer of like where I'm going to make my home base, because like I said, Brazil is 8 countries in one. There's Manaus, which is the Amazon, where they kind of look like Paisa. They look like, you know, the people of Medellin, that Paisa, that like extremely symmetrical, like, I don't know how to explain it, that just like beautiful face. So it really just depends, you know, every city has its own vibe and its own thing. And there really is something for everybody in Brazil. So that's why I recommend, you know, coming here. It's my favorite country that I've ever been to for dating. So if you want to come here, you know, like I said, come join me, come hit me up. I need more friends out here. But like I said earlier, you know, they're not all super easy. They're not all super sexual. Don't expect Brazilian women to just line up for you. They really are some of the best women on the planet, but be respectful. Don't expect them to think, oh, just because you're a gringo and you got a little bit of money, it doesn't work like that down here. They're not going to be super impressed. And another thing, don't think you can get by on your Spanish here. You know, Portuguese is totally different. You must absolutely learn some Portuguese here. And, you know, do not think that your Spanish isn't going to get you by. You could maybe order food with a restaurant, at a restaurant, maybe at you know, have a basic conversation. So that's what I would say, right? You know, try a bunch of cities, see what your vibe is. Don't expect them to line up for you. Accept that it's going to be more of a challenge. Expect that there is a bit of a flaky culture here. Definitely learn Portuguese. And thirdly, I would invest in creating what I call a high status social media profile, like I did for my buddy Steven. You guys have heard me talk about him. We'll just scroll through some photos of him. You know, notice that in every photo, he's super well dressed. He's hanging out in luxurious environments with cool friends. The lighting is good. The photos are crisp. He's well groomed. Again, remember, just go to my Instagram, RedbeardRants1, and DM me the word high status, and I'll send you the free on exactly how guys like Steven and I are setting up our social medias like this. Because if you're coming here with your car selfies or your photos taken in your drab, boring locations, you know, blurry photos, grainy, far off, super not dressed, that's not going to cut it here. Try Philippines, try Bucaramanga or Barranquilla, Colombia, because if that's the case, there's just too much competition from the locals. There's going to be too many guys here, you know, with amazing social media profiles, better photos that are just gonna trounce you, basically. So, and of course, you know, I'm a dating coach, an online dating coach. We've talked about this. I specialize in, you know, doing the high status social media, the online dating virtual assistants, you know, so my opinion here is pretty strong on this. But if you're thinking of going the cold approach route, it's only really going to work if you're like a young, good looking, in shape dude who speaks Portuguese. So let me say that again. You know, I'm biased. I'm an online dating coach. I have an agenda here. Whatever, it is what it is. But if you want to do like, oh, I'm just going to go to bars, you know, screw dating apps. I'm just going to go, you know, nightclubs and bars, the streets, and just meet women. If you're not a tall, good looking, well-dressed guy who speaks pretty damn good Portuguese, it's not going to work on the really hot women here. If you're okay dating, you know, 5s and 6s, fine. Go for it. But otherwise, I would invest in doing it online. It's just going to make it a lot easier for you. Okay, well, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. And if you like this video, I'll do an update on all the women that I dated, you know, for each month. You know, hey, every month or two, I'll document my dating experience. Follow me on this channel. Just hit the subscribe button for more top quality dating advice from your boy. And that's all I have, gentlemen. Thanks for watching. Peace.